A value chain is a way to think about all the steps a business takes to make a product or service, from getting the materials to selling it. The main parts of the value chain framework are inbound operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service. There are also four secondary activities: buying and selling, managing human resources, developing technology, and building the infrastructure of the company. A value chain analysis is when a business figures out what its main, secondary, and smaller tasks are and how well they work. A value chain analysis can show how the different parts of the chain are linked to each other and how they depend on each other. In 1985, Michael Porter, a professor at Harvard Business School, wrote in his book Competitive Advantage, Creating and Sustaining Superior Performance, about the idea of a value chain. By looking at how these value chain activities and subactivities connect to each other, organizations can see them as a system of functions that work together. Then, organizations can look at each activity or subactivity on its own to see if the output can be made better in relation to the cost, time, and effort it takes. When an organization takes the idea of a value chain and applies it to what it does, this is called a value chain analysis. Most important things. A product or service is made, sold, kept in good shape, and helped along by primary activities. The following are some of these things: the incoming operations, the internal handling and management of resources that come from outside sources, like vendors and other parts of the supply chain. Raw materials may be one of the inputs that come from outside the business. Operations, activities and processes that turn inputs into outputs, which are the goods or services that a business sells to customers. These outputs are the main things that can be sold for more than the cost of materials and production to make a profit. Getting ready to go out, the way that products get to customers. Part of the process is having a way to store, collect, and send items to customers. This includes managing both the systems inside a company and the systems from customer organizations outside the company. Marketing and sales. Advertising and building a brand are meant to make a product or service more visible, reach a marketing audience, and explain why a consumer should buy it. Service. Customer service and product support are two things that help keep customers for a long time after they've bought a product or service. Since it's easy to spot management problems and inefficiencies in this area, a business's cost advantage is often in well-run primary activities. This means that the business can make a product or provide a service for less money than its competitors. Other things to do. The following secondary activities help the different primary ones: how to get things and pay for them, finding new outside vendors, keeping up with current ones, negotiating prices, and doing other things related to bringing in the materials and resources needed to make a product or service are all part of this job. Human resource management. How care is taken of people. This includes things like hiring, training, building, and keeping an organization's culture, and making sure employees get along well with each other. Technology gets better. An organization does things like research and development, management, and cybersecurity to build and keep up its use of technology. The way the company works. All of these are important parts of running a business: legal, general management, administrative, accounting, finances, public relations, and quality assurance. Value chains and what they can do for you. The value chain framework helps organizations figure out where good and bad cost efficiency comes from and rate them. A value chain analysis can help a business in the following ways. Help business tasks get done by making decisions. Find out what isn't working right so you can fix it. Find out how the business's different parts work together and depend on each other. For example, problems with how human resources are managed and with technology can affect almost every part of a business. Optimize activities to boost output and cut costs as much as possible. Make your prices lower than your competitors. Know your main skills and where you can improve. A value chain analysis can be very helpful, but it's important to keep in mind the bigger strategy of an organization, even when you're looking at small process details. A business can use a value chain analysis to figure out which parts of its business model make it more or less cost-effective. Businesses should think of the framework as a place to start when doing a value chain analysis, not as the whole process from start to finish. To understand their value chains, companies can do the following: break up each main and secondary task into smaller tasks. Then organizations can look at each function in more depth and compare its financial return to the time, effort, and money it takes to do. Trying to find connections between the smaller jobs. Inefficiency in one task or part of a task is often linked to inefficiency in another task or part of a task. For example, a bad hire in human resources, HR, can cause problems in many different parts of the job. Technology and inbound operations can also have an effect on a company's value chain. Figure out what needs fixing. Think about patterns and trends in the different subtasks and how they are linked. Then look for places in the value chain where you can make changes. Value chains, some examples. Here are some of the most important things that Amazon, a tech and online shopping giant, does. Taking care of the supply chain. Amazon makes most of its money from the products it sells through its own fulfillment services and from the data center resources that power its Amazon Web Services, AWS cloud services. Here, Amazon can use the fact that it is a big business to get lower prices per unit on the things it buys from other companies. Operations. This is where Amazon takes its inputs and turns them into its outputs. Amazon's main service is its online marketplace, which lets buyers and sellers do business online in a safe way. Amazon's fulfillment and logistics make it possible for Prime members to get their packages in just 2 days. This gives customers a safe, easy-to-use shopping experience and much faster shipping times than competitors at the same price point. AWS is another business unit of Amazon. It turns inputs into outputs by making and maintaining cloud servers, storage, and other data center resources into a streamlined service that client organizations can use to host applications and other data. Getting ready to go out. Amazon has fulfillment centers, digital delivery, co-sourcing and outsourcing, and physical stores as parts of its outbound logistics. In Amazon's 109 fulfillment centers, robots are used to make warehouse work go faster and cost less. Shipping in 2 days is a big thing that makes Amazon stand out from its competitors. With the help of co-sourcing and outsourcing agreements, Amazon can grow bigger than its own fulfillment services can handle. Some services can be sent to you digitally, like the software for Amazon's online marketplace and AWS cloud services. Brick-and-mortar stores are places like Whole Foods and a few Amazon stores. Some of Amazon's most important tasks, like customer service, are also done in these stores. You can drop off online returns at some Whole Foods, Kohl's, and UPS stores, for example. Also, if a customer wants to get help in person, they can easily find a customer service rep in these stores. Marketing and sales. According to Statista.com, Amazon spent about $22 billion on advertising and marketing in 2020. Amazon stayed one of the most well-known brands in the world by using the money power of a big company.